Hello, thank you for clicking on this video. Welcome back to this little corner of the internet. I'm Emily and I live with my husband, our dog, and more recently our two babies. We've got twin babies who were born on the 23rd of March 23, and we are figuring out parent life and looking after two newborn babies. I've done a couple of videos so far about our little birth story and getting ready for twins and things like that, and I thought it would be good to do a little video to talk about our first 6 weeks. I can't believe it, 6 weeks of twins. Crazy. Can't believe we're here. You'll notice I've got a baby with me. I'll give you one guess as to who that is. Yep, little Eden, little limpet. Percy's having a nap in his Moses basket. So yeah, 6 weeks has gone by so fast and they're getting bigger, which is just mad. Like, they're grown up, which is just crazy. But yeah, we're doing good. We're loving getting to know who they are, and yeah, so far so good. Obviously there are hard moments. Having one baby is tricky, so two babies is also pretty tricky, but yeah, having a good time and soaking it all up as much as we can. So during the night feeds I've been keeping like a list on my phone each week of different things that I found like important or just like part of their development, and things that we've learned and things like that as well. So I'm going to talk through week by week. Obviously I'm going to miss things out, but these are just key notes that I had on my phone over these last 6 weeks. So week number 1. So obviously we got home from the hospital and then you're like, oh, okay, off you go, 2 babies. But also I remember them saying, so they need to be fed every 2 to 3 hours, have this many wet nappies, da 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 da. For the first few weeks we were on that schedule, but as they've got bigger and they've started to grow, obviously that schedule has changed. And initially I was like, oh, they haven't fed, but because their tummies are bigger and generally they're getting bigger, that's okay. They're getting bigger, but it's down to us to figure out, you know, what they need and when. So first couple of weeks sleeping were obviously pretty challenging. Our sleeping arrangement is that we've got a cot in our room, and ideally the babies are supposed to be sharing that cot. So the first few nights they shared the cot and we had a blanket over them both. We then found that they kicked that blanket off and they were sort of stirring each other, and that didn't really work. So we then introduced swaddles quite quickly, so they were nicely wrapped up tight, and that worked a bit better. We had white noise on as well as another sleep cue. We try and like warm their clothes up before they went into the cot, because we were worried that, so I always feed them before they go down. So I feed them and they're all nice and warm and tucked up on me, cozy and asleep. If they could sleep there they absolutely would, but then they went into their cot and then that transition just wasn't working. So we tried to warm clothes up and try and make them smell like me. Maybe that worked, who knows. With twins it's been a challenge to figure out routine in terms of feeding, changing and sleeping. Obviously if there's one baby you just follow the baby's cues and you just crack on, but with two babies they obviously aren't the same baby, so they have their own routines, but equally it's important for us that we try and keep them on their own, keep them like together as much as possible, otherwise we're just constantly feeding and changing. So when one baby wakes up we then wake up the other baby, which is really hard if you've just spent X amount of time trying to get them to sleep and they're like, oh. And you know, we didn't always, but then you notice, because then half an hour later the other baby wakes up and needs feeding and changing, so you might as well have just done that in the first place. So yeah, we found that if one baby wakes up, which is normally Percy because he is a hungry boy, we will then change him, feed him and wake up Eden so that she can also feed. And you know, they always take it, they're always happy to have food, let's be honest. I could talk a lot about breastfeeding because I am breastfeeding them both, which I feel really lucky that I can do, but I might do a separate video on breastfeeding twins because I feel like I could talk quite a lot about that. I feel very lucky that that we're able to breastfeed, and it's, yeah, really special time that I get to have with them, so I feel very lucky to have that. But I think I'll talk about that another time. But yeah, we're breastfeeding them, in generally tandem feeding them, so at the same time, at that point every 2 to 3 hours, but we are still breastfeeding, which is good. So I wrote a little bit about each of the babies in that first week as well. So Edie is fussy and likes to cuddle before being put down. She's always got her tongue out. She likes to close her eyes when she's feeding. She's feeding much better. She initially struggled a bit because of her tongue. And she likes to raise her eyebrows. They both like to raise their eyebrows, and they've all both got like a little wrinkly forehead, which I think is a family thing. Percy has got great facial expressions. He's very chilled in his cot, which he still is. He's very good at latching. He was always very keen to get on the boob, and he's very good at telling us when he's hungry. He'll put his hand by his mouth and sort of shake his head, trying to get food, which I just find it so cute. Percy, so this is now week 2. Percy, like I said, he was really good at latching. He gulps his food down, which has meant that he's a bit sicky afterwards, so we try and do like a mid-feed burp, just to get any burps out before he finishes. Sleeping, we were still finding that hard. Like, we could be doing shifts, like James would go downstairs in the middle of the night. Sheppy's barking. Just had to check the dog. Don't know where I got to. I'm somebody who likes to think ahead as well, so I was very much thinking, starting at this point, so early, well, 2 weeks in, starting to think about being on my own with the babies, and because it was still so new then, I was feeling really quite anxious. Like, how am I going to feed on my own, because I had to have a lot of help, especially because of my C-section. But, you know, tandem feeding is something you have to sort of figure out and get your routines, and like, it's quite a process, like a system. Like, now we know what to do. Me and the babies are all lined up ready. I've got everything I need around me. But initially, the thought of that was quite daunting, so I was starting to feel a bit anxious about that. Now being here, I feel so much more confident on my own with them. And yeah, your brain just thinks the worst. Oh, Sheppy. Your brain just thinks like the worst, and just have to have more faith in ourselves. We're back. The dog was barking. I feel like this video is very higgledy-piggledy, which is my brain at 1 o'clock in the morning. So yeah, the first couple of weeks we spent getting to know the babies. I was also recovering from my C-section, so we had some nice slower days. The second week we got a little bit braver and we went out like to Tesco's or something. And I felt really anxious about taking them out for the first time, because they were just so little and so new, and yeah, you just feel quite worried about taking them out. But the more that you do it, the more confident you get, especially like the feeding side of things as well. And with 2 of them, it was Easter week as well, so we were able to go and be with family, which was really lovely. So they also had their first little outfit in leggings, which sounds ridiculous, but to be honest, they still just live in vests and baby grows, because they are sick and wee and poo and are covered in milk most of their days. So you just whip a vest off, whip a baby grow off, and then just change. So we've got lots of baby grows and vests that they just live in, so having leggings was a little treat. Week 3, again, still feeling a little bit worried and like overwhelmed with looking after them on my own. You know, thinking about what if they're both just crying and I can't settle them both. Your brain goes there, especially if you've had, you know, lack of sleep and things like that. We actually introduced a dummy this week, which we didn't really know a lot about dummies and things like that, and you know, teeth, and everyone's got their own opinion. But for us, it's been really helpful. We could try and settle one with a dummy, and then the other one we could be dealing with and looking after if they needed something else from us. So yeah, the dummy has been really good. They were starting to grab a bit more with their hands. They were like pulling at their faces when they're feeding, grabbing at our faces, and yeah, starting to get really strong in their legs with like pushing their bodies back, and their little heads as well, trying to look around. We gave them a bath for the first time. They were not massive fans of the bath. Obviously you don't need to bath them very much, but they are still not fans of the bath. It's a bit of a mission. And they both always wee in a nappy change. Whip the nappy off, do a wee and a poo mid-change, so that's frustrating. You have to be speedy. Week 4, week 4 we started to go on some more trips out. So this was the week that James went back to work. So the first couple of days before he went back, we did some little trips out together. So we just went shopping around Dorking and to the beach, and we did our first public change and first car tandem feed, which was fine. The bad nights continue. The babies are feeding a lot. Eye contact starting more, which is really lovely, starting to look at us and track us with our eyes. Had their second bath. We then moved sleeping wise because it still wasn't really working. After feeding, Percy is quite noisy. I think just he's still quite wriggly and burpy, I think because the way he just gulps it down. So actually having them on the cot together wasn't working because he would wake her up and they would sort of stir each other. So we have started putting the Moses basket that we use for them during the day. They've got their own Moses baskets. So we put Eden's on the floor next to the cot so that she can sleep in there, which she just settles a lot better in there, so that's worked really well. We would like to get them back in the cot together, so I think we'll try and do that again, but while this is working we're going to stick with this. But as they've got better at settling at night now, it might be worth us trying to get them back in the cot. They're starting to grow into newborn clothing, which is crazy. It's so annoying because they just live in certain like sizes for like a certain amount of time and then they grow so quickly. So they've been in tiny baby, but now they're getting into newborn. Well, they're very much in newborn now, but they were in week 4 growing into newborn, which was sad. They're definitely in that bigger size now. Eden smiled for the first time in week 4, which was really lovely. Week 5 sleep has been good, I've written down. They're going down much better and they're sleeping much longer at night. So you know at the beginning I said about how we were on a 2 to 3 hourly schedule, which they are, especially during the day. But at night they've been going much longer stretches, so about 4 hours between feeds, or from the start of the last feed is 4 hours. So that gives us a little bit longer to sleep, which is good. Eden is still in her Moses basket. Percy's still in the cot. We have the black and white books that babies like to look at. They've been really good, so we actually have them in their beds with them as well, so that when we put them down their eyes are automatically drawn there and it just sort of settles them. I don't know, it works. And they've been going down really well with those in their beds. Generally bedtime they'll go down like between 10 and 11. Obviously they've had a nap earlier in the evening, but for us and our bedtime they go down between 10 and 11, which is when we go to bed. They wake up around 2 or 3ish, and then they wake up again at 6, between 6 and 7. So pretty good, to be honest. Week 5 we're both getting much more alert. They're big wide eyes when they're awake. We started our sensory class, which has been hilarious. We've just done 2 sessions so far. I mean, they're very sleepy still, so, and we walk down with the pram, so they kind of get to sleep and then we go into sensory. Percy was very much asleep when we started the class this week, but when they are awake they definitely do, you know, look around and engage with it. So it'll be nice to see them grow as we keep going to sensory and get bigger and engage more and more with that. And also they do themed outfits, which I'm very on board with. I mean, just little token gestures, but I'm there for it. I love a bit of fancy dress. Now I've got 2 humans to put in fancy dress. The day that they don't let me dress them, it's a sad day. Yeah, both bigger. Their faces are getting bigger. Percy especially getting longer. We had in that week a jaundice check when we had our like 10-day midwife appointment. They referred us to the prolonged jaundice clinic just because they were still looking a little bit jaundiced. They had some jaundice in hospital. So in week 5 we had the jaundice clinic where they had their bloods taken. They were very sad in that appointment. The other people must have been thinking, what on earth are they doing to those poor babies? They just had heel pricks, but they were sad. That all came back clear, so nothing to worry about jaundice wise. Percy at that appointment weighed £7 and 14 ounces, in kilograms 3.6 kg, and Eden weighed 7.7, £7 and 7 ounces, which is 3.36 kg, which, yeah, is really good. Hello there, Editing Emily here. For some reason, there's some footage missing, so I'm just filling in that little gap here. I was talking about the weights at the jaundice clinic. All of that came back clear, so that's really good. We don't need to worry about that anymore. The rest of week 5, we registered the babies at the doctor's. We also had our meal rota from church, which was lovely. James went back to work and we had yummy meals delivered to us, which was really kind. This week, obviously, I'd been on my own a bit more and I was starting to feel more confident in looking after the babies on my own, which is really good, especially after feeling a little bit worried about that. I then started to think, and this continues to be in my mind, about feeding, and if I'm out and about without the babies and giving them a bottle of my expressed milk, will they be able to take the bottle? What will happen to me and my milk? Will I need to express while we're out and about? So that's still on my mind and things to think through. And yeah, just still getting to know the babies in week 5. So I've written down that Percy likes to hold his ear when he's feeding. He also often does this, like rests his little hand on his face. Eden's little cough. I know it's tiny, like a minuscule detail, but it really makes me laugh. It's just so dramatic, but also so little. Percy's got some great sneezes. You know, when you sneeze and then the sneeze doesn't come, he does that. It's very cute. Eden still really likes to be held. She really enjoys being in a sling. It means I can get stuff done. So I'll be walking around with a sling on, and Percy is very happy to just be in his Moses basket generally. I do feel a bit sorry for him that he doesn't get to go in the sling so often. But he seems quite happy. They're still sleeping well, only waking maybe once for a feed, but they're not always very good at going back down, so that's what we're working on at the moment. And yeah, that's the little bit that we missed, just a few little details, and then you get back to me. Now with Eden not in the sling, I think maybe she must have got a bit fussy, and the camera may have paused, I don't know. But yeah, back to the video. They had their health check with the health worker, family health worker, and that was good. They ran through lots of things. They did start talking about weaning, which is hilarious because, you know, still newborn babies, still very much on the milk, but there we go. They weighed them again, and Percy is £8.9 and Eden is £8.8. So yeah, they were very happy. Feeling heavier, fitting into more clothes, much more alert, and lots of eye contact. So it's kind of the same as week 5. Still cracking on. Feel like that was a bit of a word vomit 6-week update, week by week. But that's just my little ramble that I wrote down through the night feeds. Are you right there? A little bit sad. Yeah. So that's our 6-week life with twins update. Getting there with the pram and out and about. I'm about to take them, well, I'm about to take them to a coronation party at church. I've got them some themed outfits. We don't have any red, so they've got one red sock each. I'll either do that or like a rusty bib that we've got, and it will be a little bit of a ready bib. So yeah, that's us, 6 weeks in. I feel like I've probably missed something. I've rambled. She's done a big poo. I can smell it. Yeah, I'm gonna feed them now and then get them ready to go. I'll quickly go and get Percy to show you. No, don't be sad, little girl. Don't be sad, little girl. Oh no. Oh no. Okay, babies are changed and fed. We're gonna go out, but I just wanted to show you them here together. It's okay, Percy. It's okay. Here she is. Say hiya. Say hiya. Oh, we don't have any red, so we're in white and blue for the party. We're in white and blue for the party, hey? Good girl. Good girl. Shall we show Percy's outfit, shall we? Shall we show Percy's? Here's Mr. Percy, man. I want to show you to the camera. Don't I? He has just given me the biggest smile you have ever seen. You have ever seen, Percy. Where's it gone? Okay, okay. Thank you for watching this video. Please do subscribe and like if you like it, and follow me over on my Instagram at Emily Joy Hamilton, and hopefully there'll be some more videos coming up soon. Have a good day, whatever you're doing, and yeah, we'll catch up again soon. Goodbye. Goodbye. Say goodbye. Are you gonna look at the camera now? Are you gonna look at the camera now? Because they want to see you. Oh no. He is my chilled baby. He is my chilled baby. He's probably saying, give me some more milk. Give me some more milk.